Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. That's where it's at. That's where the nectar of existence is fully present. So if you want to experience the nectar of existence itself, that's how you do it. You chant Hare Krishna with feeling, and then you'll be completely reconnected with your eternal, all blissful, all cognizant nature. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishwakanvitam Shah Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. So, I was honestly absolutely delighted when I saw what my lecture was going to be today. When I came here, I looked at the poster to see what I was going to be speaking about. And I was absolutely delighted to see what my disciples had arranged for me to speak about. The secrets of devotional service revealed. So I got on the database and I did a little search through Prabhupada's teachings to see what he said were the secrets. And I found one after another, after another, after another. I got about 10 of them. And I could have gone further, but I figured 10 was enough for one lecture. 10 secrets that Prabhupada said were the secrets of devotional service. So we're going to go through these and go into an in-depth look at these different secrets that Prabhupada revealed in his writings. The first secret is that you absorb your mind in Krishna. That's the first secret that Prabhupada, as I looked through the Gita, that was the first secret that came up. So what is this? What is the whole principle behind this? And why is it so powerful? Is it something artificial? Most people would say this is some weird cult. I mean, what are you people doing, you know? I mean, you're watching, instead of going to a concert or going to a soccer game or whatever, you're chanting Hare Krishna? I mean, what kind of weird thing is this anyway? So why is this such an important thing? Why is this indeed a secret of devotional service? What's the great potency in absorbing the mind in Krishna? Well, the reality is this. Krishna is our very substance. He's the substance of everything. Anganni yasha shakalendriya vritti manti pasyanti panti kalayanti charam jaganti yang shama shundaram achintya gunasvarupam govindam aripurusham. Angandi yashasakalendriya vritti manti pashyanti pandi kalayanti charamrigade ananda chinmaya sadujvilivrahasya Govinda Maripurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. So I want you to focus on this one word that Lord Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakura's translation, substantiality. His transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, and substantiality. So what does that mean? That means there's something there. Just like this hall has substance. Anything that exists has substance, you see. Prabhupada even one time said, our philosophy is substance. He said, one word. I was amazed. In a lecture he said, our philosophy is substance. You see, the Mayavadis and they say there's no substance, it's just void, especially the Buddhists. It's just void. There's no substance anywhere, you see. It's empty. Our philosophy is not emptiness, our philosophy is substance. There's a substance that includes everything, and that substance is Krishna. So we are of the same nature as Krishna himself. We are of Krishna. We are his expanded energy. That is our very nature, our very identity. So when you think of Krishna, you're not doing something artificial, you're just remembering what is your actual identity. In this material world, we've been programmed into an amnesiac state of consciousness, of thinking that we're something that we're not. It's like I see you have a blue sweatshirt. And if every day I told you, you are a blue sweatshirt, you know, all your whole life you heard that you were a blue sweatshirt. You might start to, all your friends say, oh, you know. Prabhupada gave an example. Some people decided to gang up on some poor fellow. And whenever they saw him, they'd say, ghost, ghost, ghost. And he started thinking, I'm a ghost, I'm a ghost, I'm a ghost, because everybody says I'm a ghost. So the thing is, we've been programmed to thinking we're this blood and flesh, which we're not. The whole society has imposed this false consciousness upon us of thinking that we're this blood and flesh. So to think of Krishna brings us back to our original identity. It reconnects us with who we actually are. It brings us back to our original nature, which is to serve the Supreme, and through serving the Supreme, to serve all living entities. Another thing it does, because Krishna and the thought of Krishna are non-different, it brings you into direct contact with Krishna, that person, that amazing person. Any person that you find to be amazing in this world, whether it's a beautiful person, a powerful person, a renounced person, a wealthy person, a famous person, or a highly knowledgeable person. Every person that you may find to be amazing in this world is only amazing because they have some potency from Krishna. So the actual only really amazing, wonderful, attractive thing anywhere is Krishna. It's only because of Krishna that anything is attractive. So when you connect with Krishna, you're connecting with the fountainhead of attractiveness. That's why someone who falls in love with Krishna, who becomes a devotee of Krishna, you see, nothing else attracts him anymore. It just reminds him of Krishna. Any beautiful or wonderful thing simply reminds him of Krishna. He sees everything beautiful because of its connection with Krishna. So these are some of the results of absorbing your mind in Krishna. This is described by Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. Atakshi Krishna namadi nabhaved grayam indriyai sevon muke jivado swayam eva spadat. The transcendental name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc. of Krishna cannot be understood or realized by someone who has blunt material senses. Whoa, that's us, isn't it? What's our hope? He says, but if one purifies his senses by engaging in Krishna consciousness, those senses become Krishnized, they become spiritually saturated. And then, with spiritually saturated, Krishnized senses, then the transcendental name, fame, form, pastimes, entourage, paraphernalia, etc., 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 of the Supreme Lord become revealed to him. So when you think of Krishna, the mind is like the spoke, or the center, the hub, and the senses are the spokes on the wheel. So when your mind becomes absorbed in Krishna, then your senses also become naturally absorbed in Krishna. And this way, by Krishnizing the mind, Krishnizing the senses, then all these wonderful things become manifest to you. The pastimes of Krishna, the qualities, the wonderful attributes of Krishna. Venum kvanantamaravinda lalaya taksam barhavatam masitam buddhasundarangam kandarpakoti kamani avisheshu shobham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept at playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals. Can you imagine someone whose eyes are blooming like lotus petals? That's pretty amazing. You ever looked at anybody's eyes and seen blooming lotus petals? Right? That's Krishna. When you see Krishna, if you can look at Krishna with a mood of love, you'll just be completely overwhelmed with ecstasy, just to see his face, to see his eyes. And then his head is bedecked with a peacock's feather, the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. So these are all you could say the byproducts are the results of absorbing your mind in Krishna. What actually happens is you become qualified, as Prabhupada told me, and I'm still working on it. You become qualified to see Krishna face to face. Prabhupada ordered me in a letter. I cherish this order from Prabhupada like anything. He said, now you become qualified to see Krishna face to face. So how do you do that? You absorb your mind in Krishna. As I was giving the example, I think it was last night at the Urban Yoga Center. There's so many radio waves in this room right now. So many radio stations here in Melbourne. And those broadcasts, or the ether in this room is saturated with so many radio broadcasts. On one, there's classical music, there's There's Beatles songs, there's Bob Dylan songs, Michael Jackson songs, the latest news, so many things. It's all in the ether. But we can't hear it. But if you have a radio receiver, you can hear it. You see. So just as those radio waves are present, Krishna is also present here, right now. He's fully present. Just like those radio broadcasts are fully present. And you have to have a receiver to tune in. And what is that? That is your consciousness. How come we're not able to pick it up? Our consciousness is out of order right now. It's like a broken radio, it needs to be repaired, you see. The spiritual master is the repairman. Prabhupada is our repairman, you see. The spiritual master helps you, trains you how to fine-tune your consciousness so you can actually experience Krishna. Just like that Bhagavatam verse, Bhakti parashanu varavraktir yanatta chaishatrika ekakalaha prapanyama nashir tashanashush pushti shushti pudapayo nagasam. Devotion to Krishna, directly experiencing Krishna within everything, and detachment, viraktir, detachment from material sense gratification, occur for someone who is taking up this pathway seriously of Krishna consciousness. So you can just imagine experiencing Krishna within everything. And within every sound, within every sight, within every smell, you actually can experience Krishna there. This is a high level stage that we can achieve. And how do you get there? Absorb your mind in Krishna as much as possible. And what's the easiest way to do that? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram. I mean, you're tired of chanting? Take some prasadam. I mean, you're tired of taking prasadam and chanting? Then take some rest. And get up again and chant. And chant and Hare, chant, take prasadam. So this is the first secret. You absorb your mind in Krishna. These are some of the aspects we can understand regarding why that is powerful, why that is effective, why that is a secret, a true secret of devotional service. The next secret I had found in the database, Prabhupada says the secret is to satisfy the self-realized spiritual master. I mean, I can't just do it on my own? I need a guru? Someone might ask, you see. Why do I need, can't I just do it on my own? I mean, no, look at it practically. Anything you want to do, you want to become expert, you get a teacher. You want to be a medical doctor, you go to the medical college. You want to be a lawyer, you go to law school. You want to become super expert in something, you get a teacher. That's standard. You get a teacher. One point in this connection is that Krishna states in the Yadi Purana, he says, Ye me bhakta jana parata, na me bhaktas tete janaha, mad bhaktanam chi ye bhaktas, te me bhakta tamamata. My dear Arjuna, the one who is my devotee, na me bhaktas, he's not my devotee. But the devotee of my devotee, he is my devotee. So, wow, I guess I do need a guru after all. Otherwise Krishna won't accept me. I have to become devoted. Actually, Prabhupada gives Prabhupada is, if you look through Prabhupada's teachings, Prabhupada brings up this point again and again and again and again from many, many different angles of vision. Why you have to have a spiritual master. One example he gives is anatta and sanatta. Anatta means no master, and sanatta means with a master. And he gives an example of dog. A dog with a master, a dog without a master. Now, how many of you have been to Vrindavan? Yes. You seen the dogs without masters there? A pitiful lot. A lot of them, they have wounds on their bodies. They've lost their hair due to skin disease. They're skinny. They're paranoid. People, they're shunned by everyone. They throw rocks at them. It's just a hell to be a street dog in Vrindavan. Now, how many of you been on Juhu Beach? Yes. You see the dogs on Juhu Beach walking with the masters? You see, the dogs in Vrindavan are leaning to them, the street dogs. But then Juhu Beach, those dogs walking with their masters, they're stout and strong, jolly dogs. You see, walking with their masters. So a dog without a master is in a very difficult position. A dog with a master is very well situated. You see. So this connection, Prabhupada said we have to have spiritual master, otherwise we're like street dogs. You see. And you have to obey your spiritual master also. Otherwise, it's like not having one. You say, well, I'm initiated, Prabhu. But, I'm breaking the regulated principles. I'm not following my spiritual master. Then what's the value of such initiation? Guru means now you follow his instructions. You're dedicated to following his instructions. So that's stated by Prabhupada, to satisfy the self-realized spiritual master. And the spiritual master is pleased, Krishna is pleased. So we weren't able to see Krishna, but we could see Prabhupada. And Prabhupada made it very clear when he was pleased or displeased. It wasn't like you had to guess. You could see he was happy or he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy, you'd really find out. He would really let you know. If he wasn't happy, he could really, really let you know he wasn't happy. If he was really happy, he would be it was so wonderful to see Prabhupada when he was happy, you see, he was pleased. So our life was to please Prabhupada. Somehow we have to please him, Anything we can do to please Prabhupada, doesn't matter what else we'll do, anything we have to please Srila Prabhupada. So that it's still the same principle is there. Prabhupada is not dead and gone, he's with us. And by satisfying Srila Prabhupada, by following his instructions, by working together cooperatively to make this movement a success, then that's a secret of how we can become fixed up in Krishna consciousness. The next secret that Prabhupada reveals, this is a very interesting one, to know that there is no existence besides Krishna. Well, how is that true, that outside of Krishna nothing exists? Krishna is the origin of everything, and everything that exists is simply Krishna's expanded energy. So outside of Krishna there is nothing. There's no such thing as outside of Krishna. Everything that exists was within Krishna. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Advaitam achitam anadam ananta rupam adyang parana purusham navayovanam cha vedeshu durlabam durlabam atma bhakto govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, whose form is not subject to decay, who is without a beginning, whose form is endless, and who is the beginning, yet he is the eternal Purusha. So I want you to focus on this particular part of that verse, whose form is endless. Now, can we even conceive of that with our two tiny little brains? How tall is he? How wide is he? Is he? In one sense, he looks like a normal human being. He's in one place, playing his flute or taking some prasadam or something, But at the same time, Krishna's form is all-encompassing. Everything is included. By his expanded energy, his form actually includes everything. Everything that exists is within Krishna, within the form of Krishna. That's what his form is endless. It's all-encompassing. So nothing exists besides Krishna. Besides Krishna, there is nothing. That's why it's also stated he's an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. Because Krishna, everything that exists is Krishna in the sense that it's his energy. Krishna is energy are non-different. They are different and non-different simultaneously. So there's everything that exists is part of Krishna. There's nothing outside of Krishna. The fourth item is to explain this secret to the devotees. Just like now, I'm trying to explain. I'm blessed by this opportunity to explain the science of bhakti to an assembly of devotees. I'm very fortunate. And what about preaching to the non-devotees? Does it apply in that case? Yes, because actually they're also devotees. They're just devotees covered by forgetfulness. So this principle of explaining the science of bhakti applies to any sort of preaching activities that we do. Devotees, non-devotees, actually everyone's devotee. Some are completely asleep, we call them non-devotees. Some are starting to wake up, we call them neophyte devotees. Some are fully awake and we call them advanced devotees, you see. But actually everyone's a devotee, either sleeping, starting to awake, halfway awake, fully awake. So explaining the science to the devotees. Krishna said, there's no one more dear to me than the one who spreads my glories. There's no one more dear to me. So what's the benefit of describing Krishna's glories? Glorifying him, describing him. What's the benefit of doing that? I just read yesterday, Prabhupada explains, this is Paramahamsa. A Paramahamsa is someone who's constantly glorifying and describing Krishna. That's a Paramahamsa. So here we are, neophytes, still thinking about our tongues, our bellies, our genitals. Well, start describing Krishna. Start glorifying Krishna as much as you can, here and there and everywhere, because that's how you advance in Krishna consciousness. The more you glorify Krishna with your tongue, your mind, and your activities, you become elevated in Krishna consciousness and achieve, in the ultimate end, prema bhakti, pure love of God. So you should make your whole life, that's the beauty of this Sankirtan movement. We can make our whole life for spreading this Krishna conscious movement. Actually, I was reading this just this morning in the Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada says, a Krishna conscious being is always thinking how to deliver the suffering humanity. And even if he's not successful in doing so, his perfection is guaranteed, and anybody who follows him will also become perfect. They will go to Vaikuntha, Loka. So, what is the name of our society? The International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So are the members supposed to be Krishna conscious? Yes. So we are beings who are supposed to be Krishna conscious. And a Krishna conscious being is always thinking how to deliver the suffering humanity. So everyone should be thinking, what can I do to help bring about this great paradigm, the greatest paradigm shift in history of bringing the human civilization out of disintegration into anarchy. How can I help put a stop to that and bring back the Vedic culture where everyone is in a state of pure love? What can I do to bring that back, you see? So if you're thinking like that, then you're on the right track, because you'll be in the mood of sharing Krishna with everyone as much as you possibly can in every situation. And that is a secret of how to become Krishna conscious. The more you give Krishna, the more you get Krishna. So we recommend you become very, very aggressive to give Krishna. At the same time, you have some discrimination, because one is not supposed to preach the glories of the Lord to the faithless. So the point is, you have to explain to everyone on the level that they can become excited. One has to be expert. It's like you may be a mathematics, a wizard, and you go to some first graders to tell them about mathematics. Are you going to teach them advanced calculus? No. It goes over their head. So you have to tailor fit your presentation to your audience. Note the word tailor. There's two kinds of business suits. You can go down to the department store and get a generic fit, or you can go to a tailor and get a custom fit. Which is a better suit? The custom fit, you see. So, the point here is, when you're presenting the science of Krishna, you have to tailor fit it to your audience. Just what will turn that person on and excite them about, becoming an awakened spiritual being. It's like it sometimes said, this is not the International Society for Rules and Regulations. This is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And that's confirmed in the scriptures. Yena tena prakarena mana krishnena veshayat sarvavidina shaidashor etayoreva kinkaraha. The rules and prohibitions in the scriptures are all secondary. One should somehow or other fix his mind on Krishna. This is the point. So in explaining the science of Krishna to others, you don't want to do it in the wrong way. That becomes not a very good situation. You want to do it very intelligently, very expertly. Just like I was challenged one time. My wife and I were flying. We'd been preaching in the Fiji Islands for about a week or so. Then we were heading back to the U.S., flying from Nandi to Los Angeles on Air Pacific. It's a nonstop flight. It's a big, huge plane. And all the tourists were there, going back to the U.S. They brought, all their tourist hats and all their tourist paraphernalia. The big, huge queue around a midnight flight. And so we were there. We'd gone through this. We waited for all of eternity to finally get up to check in. And after checking in, then one man came up to me, and he saw me there with my tilak, my dhoti, shaved head. He had kind of a smirk on his face. He said, I can see here's an atheist getting ready to pounce on a religionist. I could smell him a mile away. He said, what's your philosophy? I looked him right in the eye and said, know who you are and be who you are. And he couldn't say a word. So you have to know how to, if you're really serious to represent this philosophy in the best possible way to everybody that you meet, you will study these books. You will hear Prabhupada's lectures. You will hear conversations. You will hear advanced preachers, how they preach, how they answer questions, how they answer. You'll study it. Just like somebody wanting to become a doctor, they'll learn how to do everything, you see. And you'll cultivate this art of how you can give Krishna in a way to any person. On a certain level, you can find their level that you can turn them on and excite them about it. So in this way, the more you can develop this ability to turn other people on to Krishna, your Krishna consciousness will take off like a rocket. It's also explained by Prabhupada that the more you can defeat atheism, the more you conquer your own mind. Because we have the atheist in us still. Those doubts are there. In fact, Prabhupada told us in Los Angeles that Krishna lived to Govardhan Hill, and you were thinking, maybe. You see? Prabhupada knew what's going on inside our rotten minds. Maybe. So that's the fourth secret. The fifth secret is to shun material sense enjoyment due to a higher taste. Of course, there's a famous verse about that one. Bhagavad Gita 2:59. Vishaya vinivartante nirahar rashidehina rashavarshang rasopyashva parang vishnu nivartate. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste with sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So, what does that mean? Now, if I gave you $1 million, would that make your day? Would you feel good if I gave you $1 million right now? Anybody feel bad? No, I don't want you $1 million. I give you $1 million, you go, wow, that's great. Thank you. You really made my day. I can pay off my mortgage. I can retire early, you know. Of course, I don't know, maybe the cost of living in Melbourne, maybe I'd better say billionaire. Millionaires may have a hard time here too. I don't know. I heard that the most expensive city in the world is Melbourne, isn't it? Or that's Sydney. Anyway, million may not be big enough. But let's say, for example, let's say I give you $1 million. You say, wow, that's really good. So now I'll give it back. I wasn't serious. I was just joking. Oh, you know, the disappointment. I think they said, no, I want to give me, if you give me the $1 million back, I'm going to give you something better. You have to trust me. All right. Now I give you $1 billion. Ki jai. You see. Now I know I can make it in Melbourne with $1 billion. You see. So the point is that we need enjoyment. Everybody needs, because our natures, we are enjoyers by nature. Anandamaya vyasad, it's stated in the Vedas. The nature of the living entity is enjoyment. We want to enjoy. It's our natural tendency to enjoy like anything. We want to relish happiness at every minute. We want to celebrate it every minute. That's our nature. So, if I take away what you consider to be your enjoyment and leave you stranded, you go, this is horrible. What's going on here? You see, I can't handle this. But if I give you a superior enjoyment which completely overrides what you thought was enjoyment before, no problem. I thought that $1 million was the greatest thing I'd ever achieved, and now you're taking it away, but I'm giving you $1 billion. It overrides it 1,000 times over. So the point is, if you get a higher pleasure than the lower pleasure, I thought that because my nature is enjoyment, I took that one pleasure I had as something I had to have, but now I've found something much better, so that other pleasure doesn't even matter anymore. You see? So sense enjoyment is certainly our only happiness we have now, because we think I'm the body, I think I'm male, I think I'm female, I think I'm this or that. So my happiness is based on this body. That's all I know. That's what I grew up with. That's what everybody around me does. That's all my friends are doing. It's my natural tendency. So I can't give that up. You want me to, it's like committing suicide. I couldn't think about giving up my sense enjoyment. But if I get something which is better, which satisfies me, which gratifies me even more than what I thought was my enjoyment, then there's no problem, you see. So the pleasure of the senses is on the bodily level. Your body is not really you, it's just something out there in the material energy which you are thinking it's you, but it's not you. You are not actually connected with your body any more than the driver is connected to the car. You see? So to think that my happiness depends on the gratification of my material senses is an illusion. It's a state of delusion. It means you're in a state of confusion. And you need a transfusion of consciousness to bring you out of this illusory dimension where you think your happiness is based on satisfying your material senses. The actual happiness of the living entity is to be reconnected with the source of all happiness, Krishna or God. You see? So one has to get that higher taste. That's the point. You have to get the higher taste. You can't give up material enjoyment without getting the higher taste, because you have to enjoy it. We can't live without enjoyment. So we have to get that higher enjoyment, and that And then those other inferior enjoyments will just naturally, will lose interest. You see? When I was a little kid, maybe I played with a red fire truck. And if somebody wanted to take away my red fire truck, I feel like it was taking my life away, you see? But now, where is that red fire truck? I could care less where my red fire truck is. You see what I'm saying? Those pleasures that we thought were the all in all, which we depended on for our happiness, what we thought was our sustenance, our psychological sustenance, they're no longer of interest. Because now I have found a new love. I have found Krishna. I have found a loving relationship with Krishna. I found a spiritual master. I have found spiritual masters. I found devotees. I found the holy names. I found prasadam. I found an amazing philosophy which just blows my intelligence into the stratosphere of ecstasy. So in this way, this is the fifth secret. To shun sense enjoyment due to a higher taste. And now the sixth secret is to engage material things in the service of the Lord. Well, what's an example? This microphone. Is it? Or your body. Your body is a material thing. So engage your body in the service of the Lord. There's a nice verse in this connection by Rupa Goswami. 2 verses actually. Anasaktasya vishayan yatarjma payunjataha nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagam uchate prapanchakitaya bhujya hari sambandha vastanaha mumukshuvi parityago palgu vairagyam katyate. When one is not attached to anything but accepts everything in relation to the Lord, he is properly situated in beyond possessiveness. On the other hand, a person who rejects everything, not seeing its relationship with the Lord, is imperfect and incomplete in his renunciation. So the Mayavadi philosophers, they say, I can't have anything to do with the material world, I just got nothing to do with it. But this is a less intelligent position. The intelligent position is to engage everything in the service of Krishna. An example is, let's say you're walking down the street and there's a wallet and it's loaded with credit cards and it's got $300 or $400 in the wallet. So what will you do? Will you take that money and spend it? Take those credit cards out, fill up your gas tank, do a few things? No. Not if you're honest. So one person may say, well, I just leave it there. I don't want to steal anything. I'll just leave it sitting there. That's one thing you could do. Or the other thing is you could say, let me return it to the owner. That's the proper thing. So the Mayavadi philosopher who says, this world is false, I want nothing to do with it, he's like the person who leaves the wallet sitting there, you see. But the person who says, let me return this wallet to the owner. There may be a name or an address here, an email address somewhere in the wallet. Let me see if I can get it back to the owner. That's the proper thing. So to actually engage everything material in the service of the owner of everything, the supreme proprietor, that is the proper utilization of everything. And by doing that, everything becomes spiritualized. Your material body becomes spiritualized. Your microphone, whatever you're using, it all becomes spiritualized. Normally, in India, when somebody dies, they cremate the body. But for a sannyasi or a spiritual master, they bury the body because that body it's understood that body was being fully used in Krishna's service as a spiritual. Like we didn't burn Prabhupada's body, we buried his body because it's completely spiritualized. So we can go there and worship that place where Prabhupada's body is laid in the ground. It was a spiritualized body. Prabhupada gives the example of an iron rod. An iron rod, if it's put in the fire, it becomes fire. You may say, I don't believe that. Then Prabhupada said, then touch it. You see. Actually, you touch something to an iron rod, a red hot iron rod, it immediately catches fire because it is fire. It's like an electric stove. There's no flame there, but it is fire. When those elements become red hot, that is fire. So when you become in contact with Krishna, you become fire. You become Krishnaized. That's the sixth. Now the seventh secret is to take refuge under the Lord's protection. Krishna gives all protection to his devotees, so if you take shelter of him, that's another secret of bhakti. The eighth secret is to receive the sound from the right source. You have to hear the Vedic teachings from someone who is a pure follower of the Vedic teachings, someone who is actually obediently following his spiritual master. If you hear from someone who is disobeying their spiritual master, just like in one country where there's one devotee who completely has disobeyed his spiritual master, he's gone off and doing his own preaching program, he's presenting himself as a guru, but he disobeyed his guru to do that. So there's no potency there. You have to hear from someone who is preaching or teaching or acting in full obedience to his spiritual master. That from that person, the potency is coming, proper potency. The ninth secret I found was one should be serious to execute the mission of the spiritual master. Prabhupada's mission was to make the world Krishna conscious, so one should be very eager to assist Srila Prabhupada and one's own initiating guru, who has also embraced that mission, to assist in this way. One should be very eager to do this, dedicated to doing that. And the final secret I found was to follow the order of the bona fide spiritual master. You have to obey him. That's what it means to have a guru. You become obedient to following his instructions. So I see we got some questions coming in. So we'll give some answers now. If the Lord is self-sufficient, why he created humans? It's the fact that Krishna is Atmaram, he's self-enjoyer, he doesn't need anything to enjoy. He's in himself, he's fully able to taste unlimited happiness without anybody else around. But he's all-powerful, and it's how he wants to enjoy is up to him. He could have remained all alone, but he chose to expand himself from himself, Srimati Radharani, and innumerable living entities to enjoy loving relationships with them. It's not that he was incomplete, but he has the privilege of however he wants to enjoy because he's the supreme all-powerful person. He opted to enjoy like that. That's his prerogative. What are the conditions which are imposed on us? Conditioned soul is who we are. Yes. In what way are we conditioned? We are conditioned to think I'm this body, and because of that we are forced to experience birth, death, old age and disease, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. That's what's being imposed upon us. Do you like getting old? It's nice being young, isn't it? Having a lot of energy, being fairly good looking. But you become old, you get ugly, you get bags under your eyes, and you can't hear very well, and you don't look so good anymore, and it's, who wants to get old? Who wants to get old and ugly and hard of hearing and can't see very well anymore, can't digest very well anymore, I get diabetes, or so many, who wants to get old and get sick? These things are being imposed upon us because we opted for this, to try to enjoy separately from Krishna. how to respond to those who make fun of what we follow. They deride Krishna's position. There's an old saying in the Aesop's fables, he who laughs last, laughs best. So they make fun, oh yeah, you Hare Krishnas. You know, here I am and I got 10 girlfriends. I'm smoking whatever I want, I'm drinking whatever I want, I'm having a great time. And you're over there in the ashram getting up and meditating on the names of God. You poor sucker, you know. They're laughing at us, yeah. At the time of death, the devotee is going back to Godhead, and that who's the real sucker? He's stuck in the cycle of birth and death. He who laughs. Of course, we're not going to laugh. We could. The devotee's mood is to cry. He's not. But a devotee could definitely, if he wanted to laugh, he would have the last laugh. Because I'm going back to Godhead and you're stuck in this rotten material existence. And you were laughing at me. I could, of course, the devotee will cry and beg Krishna to save them. But he couldn't have a good laugh over it, or if he wanted to. Those astrological predictions hold good once become devotees, to the extent that you have transcended the influence of the material nature. Astrological predictions don't have any, they're not binding anymore. Does the predicted path change under Krishna's shelter? That's up to Krishna. He could keep you within your astrological chart if he wanted to, or he can pull you out of it. It's up to Krishna. The thing is, the astrological chart is within the material nature. And when you become Krishna conscious, the influence of the material nature becomes more and more diminished. You may have been fated to die at the age of 50. You might live to be 100 if you become a devotee, you see. Or you may have been fated to live to 80, but astrologically, but at the age of 30, Krishna wanted you to preach in a different universe. You may leave the body early, even. So devotee just puts himself completely in the hands of Krishna, and with no anxiety. You mentioned tailor-made preaching. How to preach to faithless people as even they are part and parcel of Lord and may need to go back to Godhead. Everyone is different. There's not one formula, because that's the whole point. Tailor-made preaching is for each individual. You have to be compassionate. You have to see this person, what they need to help them come out of their suffering condition. You see? That's the whole point. I can't give you one generic thing. Then it's not tailor-made anymore. What can actually help this person to become free from the cycle of birth and death? How such preaching gets aligned with the offense against the holy name not to preach to a faithless person. One is not supposed to preach beyond what one can appreciate. That's the point. Lord Chaitanya says we should explain the science to everyone. But yet we're told to preach the glories of the holy name of the faithless persons must be avoided. So you have to present the science of Krishna on a level which will inspire and enliven that person and help them to become connected. That's the point. How much parents are important, even though they are not active devotees? Parents are very important in our life. We're very indebted to them. They've taught us how to do everything we know, tie our shoes, put on our clothes. I mean, they taught us the basic things, how to get around, how to even use the toilet, you see. We're indebted to them karmically. But of course, when you take to Krishna consciousness, then automatically that repays all debts to everyone. But parents are meant to be very much respected according to Bhagavad Gita. The austerity of the body, one of them, is to offer your respectful obeisances to your parents. And Prabhupada even had us do that. When Brahmananda and Gargamuni's mother came to their initiation ceremony, Srila Prabhupada had them offer their obeisances to their mother. And I was told to do that as well. I did it to my parents as well. So the whole mood is one should be very respectful to one's parents. Even if they're not devotees, still you're indebted to them and you have to honor them and respect them. And you treat them very nicely, they will appreciate your Krishna consciousness. And they may take to it also. Sometimes it happens. My wife is not Krishna conscious, and she is not unfavorable at all. How can I serve her to make her favorable? Well, you can't make anybody do anything they want to do. If you feel that her becoming Krishna conscious is going to benefit her, then you should just be the best possible example you can be, so she's inspired by seeing you. Wow, if Krishna consciousness can make you such a wonderful husband, then I'm in, then sign me up, you see. You have to just inspire people by being a wonderful, loving, sweet person, a powerful spiritual guide who can help them through all their difficulties. And then they will naturally take to that themselves just by seeing your example and feeling your spiritual strength. Why is this material world called a jail? We all seem to be enjoying life. Well, birth, death, old, and disease, that's why. You're forced to undergo death. Actually, we're living on death row right now, on death row. We're just waiting our turn for the executioner. Death is our executioner, and we're on death row. Every one of us sitting on death row right now. We may think we're enjoying, but it's not really an enjoyable position. But the tendency to enjoy is natural. There's nothing wrong with it. It's our natural nature to want to enjoy like anything. So therefore one should find out what is the actual means, the technique, the means by which one can actually enjoy and get free from all of the negative aspects of life which would interfere with enjoyment. That's Krishna consciousness. We're not down on enjoyment, we're down on suffering. We will teach you how to enjoy like anything at every minute. That's our philosophy. Why, despite or having substance, the Sanatana Dharma is not widespread, the other so-called Dharma are spreading like wildfire, what we should do? How many people go down to Woolworths and buy costume jewelry? A lot of people do. And how many people go to the diamond store to buy real jewels? Very small, elite customer base they have. You see. So which is better? Woolworths, costume jewelry down at Woolworths, or the diamonds at the jewelry, the high-class jewelry store? Which is better product? The diamonds, obviously. So you can't judge by vox populi, by popular vote, what is the highest truth. You can't judge. It's natural that the cheap thing will be very popular, and the expensive thing will have a much smaller customer base. It's natural. It's a natural thing. Krishna says, out of thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And out of 1,000 who endeavor for perfection, hardly even one knows me in truth. Can you please explain how to get rid of the self-ego and pride? Well, ego itself, as I explained in the Bhagavatam class this morning, is not bad. We're not down on ego. Ego means identity. The false ego means to falsely identify with your material body, and that opens you up to all kinds of unpleasant, miserable situations. How do you get free from the false identification? You have to identify with your actual self, that I'm the eternal servant of Krishna or God. One has to understand who one actually is. I'm not this material body, I'm an eternal spiritual being, I'm part of the Supreme. Therefore, as the part, I'm actually meant to serve the whole. Just consider your body, for example. The hand is part of the body, and therefore the hand is meant to serve the body by its very nature. If the hand doesn't serve the body, it's diseased, you have to go to the doctor. So the natural tendency is for the part to serve the whole. So we, being part of some greater whole than ourselves, obviously are meant to serve that complete whole. This is very common sense thing. It's not like some dogma, it's common sense. The part is always meant to serve the whole, and we're obviously part of a whole much greater than ourselves. Are you the complete whole? Can any of you say, I am the complete whole? No. We are part of a whole much greater than ourselves. So as the parts, we are meant to serve that complete whole. That complete whole is revealed as Krishna or God, you see. So by nature, we are meant to serve that complete whole. And that's the hand serving the body. That's how we become healthy, by serving the complete whole. May you please tell us your secrets of attaining the platform of pure devotional service. That's what my whole lecture was about. I went through 10 items. I just did them. I took them straight out of Prabhupada's books. Why so much importance is given to Lord Krishna's lotus feet? This is humility, and to approach the Lord through via the medium of his lotus feet, that is humility. Not that I go up like buddies and, face to face, put my arm around him and say, Krishna, great to see you, man. It's a humble thing. I'm bowing down at his feet. He's my Lord and Master. How does Lord Shiva remove the false egos? The same question in Bhagavatam class this morning. Similar question. I haven't studied a lot about Lord Shiva removing the false ego. There may be a statement, something like that in the books of Prabhupada. I don't recall that. But all these great acharyas, Lord Shiva is one of them. All these great pure devotees, they bless us on our pathway of Krishna consciousness. When we seriously try to awaken our Krishna consciousness, they're very pleased and they give all blessings. Prabhupada, I was told by Tamal Krishna Maharaj that in the early days, at our first temple in London, in Berry Place, Prabhupada had to make an asana for Lord Shiva because he was coming to attend the kirtans. He was so inspired by the kirtans, he was coming to relish the kirtans. So if we are seriously taking up the orders of our spiritual master, following what's there in the teachings, then Lord Shiva and all these great acharyas, they will bless us to become free from false ego. You said to serve Lord Krishna and all living entities. Why do we serve all living entities? You naturally serve them. When you water the root of the tree, all the leaves and branches are nourished. Prabhupada has, however, mentioned that although engaging, pleasing things is important. Prabhupada has mentioned that although saying pleasing things is important as a social etiquette, he nevertheless has been direct always and emphasized calling atheists and non-devotees as Naradam. But this is a little inflammatory. How can we say this without being too offensive? Prabhupada was totally expert at speaking according to time, place, and circumstance. One time he told a scientist directly, he said, "You're a demon." And the scientist said, "Yes, you're right, I'm a demon." He accepted it. So the real thing is compassion. If you really have compassion, you're really trying to help somebody to come out of illusion, and kind of confusion, and become realized in their spiritual nature, they will sense that. And then if you have genuine compassion, then you'll say the right things that inspire them, that enlighten them. But if you're just doing it kind of like mechanically, like reading it out of a book, and saying some lines out of a book, then the effect won't be there. You have to genuinely try to help somebody to become happy. If you have that genuine sincerity, then people will appreciate you. Oh, this person's trying to help me. They care about me. You see. So that's the real key. Compassion is the key, not what you. In fact, I even got a letter from Prabhupada. He said, "It's not what you say, but how you say it." He said in this letter, he said, "If you describe these books in the best descriptive language, you will be able to convince anyone, even an atheist, to take these books." So one has to be expert in this. And one of the qualities of a devotee is poetic. And Prabhupada said, actually, everyone has these qualities within you. Everyone is poetic. But when you awaken your Krishna consciousness, your natural poetic nature comes out. I've seen how actually being poetic is very powerful in preaching. You speak poetically, people go, "Wow, that's really cool." I went to a Christian church to give a class, an Wednesday night adult study group. And of course, I was raised a Christian, and I have no problem. I can easily talk with Christians because I'm from that group, the Christians. So I was glorifying Lord Jesus. He's our spiritual master. We accept Jesus. We love Jesus. On and on and on. They were blissing out like anything, hearing all this glorification of Jesus. I don't know if they even glorified him as much as I glorified him. But and then at the end I said, "But with you all, we have a beef. And that is the beef." And you see the poetry of it? The beef has a twofold meaning. It means a complaint, or it means cow flesh, So because the poetry, they really grooved on the poetry of it, But with you all we have a beef, and that is the beef. They were saying, "That's really cool poetry." They kept smiling. Their smiles didn't go away. They kept grinning. "Oh, wow, really cool poetry. Yeah, this cow killing is not good." And I told them all that. And they were smiling the whole time. They never lost their smiling face. So you really have to, really have to be compassionate and try to, as Prabhupada said, explain things in the best descriptive manner. Try to make it so attractive that even the staunchest atheist would say, "I'm in, sign me up." You see what I'm saying? You have to be a good representative. Our devotees in the Atlanta airport, they used to distribute books like anything, and the non-devotee businessmen would come through and see our book distributors, and they want to sign them up to work for their corporation. They've never seen such amazing salesmen. It was said that these Hare Krishna booksellers are so expert, they can sell ice to an Eskimo. So you have to learn how to speak in such a way that it's irresistible. Because actually Krishna is irresistible. And everyone actually is a devotee of Krishna. They've simply forgotten it. They're in a state of amnesia. So you have to realize that, you have to have faith in that principle, and you have to really represent Krishna in the best possible way according to their level of understanding. In the beginning, it might just be defeating their philosophy, you see. Yeah, that you theists are a bunch of crazy nuts. Everyone knows there's no God. Actually, I was seeing a video of this famous scientist, Dr. Stephen Hawking. He was talking about religionists like a bunch of little, it's like little kids and believing in Santa Claus, or the Easter Bunny, It's like, are you kidding? God? What kind of joke is this? And everybody agreed with him. It's a whole auditorium, and they were all, those religious people, they're so stupid. They're like little children, That's the mood. It's out there. So, such a person, you can't go in and just saying, well, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They'll just say some blasphemous thing. What you have to do is dismantle their atheism first of all. You see, you got to first go in and dismantle their atheism. Say, actually, you atheists are dogmatists. Didn't you know that? You guys are a bunch of dogmatists. You know why? Because you believe that something comes out of nothing. But it's not scientifically verifiable. It's blind faith. It's simply blind faith that something can come out of nothing. That's the whole foundation of your atheistic philosophy. And that's what Stephen Hawking says. He says, now science is advanced to the point where we realize that everything has come out of absolutely nothing. That's what he said. I have it I got it off YouTube. It's in my computer right now. You want to see the video? It's on YouTube. You can see him saying that. Science has now realized that everything comes out of absolutely nothing. Now we've advanced, you see. We've gotten rid of all of that religious garbage, and now we finally know the truth, that everything comes out of nothing. But where's the scientific proof? Show me one experiment in the history of science where they took nothing and they got something out of it. It's never been done. It can never be done. So it's simply pure dogma. It's all it is. It's dogma. So with certain people, they're not ready to hear about Krishna yet. You have to dismantle their atheism first of all. You got to pull their little atheistic rug out from under them. So they realize, hey, you're right, I don't really know anything. Please tell me something. What is reality then, you see? So you have to be, a preacher should be expert. Prabhupada said, ask them what is their philosophy and then defeat it. You have to be able to dismantle their bogus philosophies, and that will make them receptive. But you do it with love, not like, ha ha ha, I got you. Not like that. Always in the mood of helping that person. Not some philosophical one-upmanship. Don't you know I'm the fastest philosopher this side of the Ganga? Not like that, Let's see. What is the difference between a Mayavadi and a Brahmavadi? Don't both of them say that merging of the mind is something? A Brahmavadi and a Mayavadi are different. They're similar in some ways and different in other ways. A Brahmavadi is one who has advanced to the level of Brahman realization understanding. But he's not inimical to the concept of God having a form. He's open. He's an open-minded person. But a Mayavadi is someone who, if you bring up the idea of God as a form, he shoots it down. He blasts it down. You see? Brahmavadi. Huh? Mayavadi will blast down, and the Brahmavadi is open.
Yeah, they're open, but they also feel there is no form. It's all light.
The Brahmavadi, the example of Brahmavadis are the four Kumaras, you see. They had come to that level of understanding the absolute truth as impersonal mind, but then when they smelled the incense which had been offered to the Lord, they were brought to a higher level of Bhagavan realization. On my own experience, I was a Brahmavadi. I believed that everyone was God, that I was God, you're God, I'm God, we're all God. I subscribed to that philosophy. But when I heard from the devotees, especially Vishnu Jana Swami, when I heard from him, I accepted it. When I heard Prabhupada's teachings from Vishnu Jana Swami, I accepted it. So even though I embraced Mayavadi philosophy, I wasn't hardcore. Of course, for a while I was. I used to argue with the devotees sometimes and defeat them, philosophically. One devotee told me, he said, actually it was my godbrother, Chitsukananda. I told him back in 1969 2009 on the Berkeley campus in California, University of California at Berkeley. He approached me and I said, "You Hare Krishnas, you say that your senses are imperfect. So how you can say Krishna is God is with your imperfect senses. You're accepting that Krishna is God. So how you can say Krishna is God? Your senses are imperfect." And he went, he didn't know what to say. But later on, I learned how to defeat my argument. And that verse from Rupa Goswami defeats it. Atakshi Krishna namadi nabhavadgrayam indriyai. With your blunt material contaminated senses, you cannot understand God. But with purified senses, beginning by engaging your tongue, by taking prasadam, chanting Hare Krishna, your senses become purified and then you can realize Krishna. So the devotees are not accepting Krishna with imperfect senses. They are accepting Krishna with their purified senses. You see? Not with devotees' senses they're becoming perfected. To whatever degree you advance in Krishna consciousness, to that degree your senses are becoming perfected. And with those perfected senses, or becoming perfected senses, you're able to understand and accept Krishna.
But those who are hardcore Brahmavadis, are they...
Hardcore Brahmavadi, that's called Mayavadi. I mean, a Brahmavadi is open. A Brahmavadi is open. He's not inimical to the concept of God's form. All he's learned so far is the formless concept. But he doesn't have this inimical attitude against the form of God, like the Mayavadi does. That's the difference. Okay. Thank you for assisting Srila Prabhupada in his mission. Well, thank you for your appreciation. I'm trying to do a little bit of service, as long as I'm here on this planet. Thank you. Okay. Does preaching come before other services in importance? Actually, every service is preaching. You can preach with your mouth, or you can preach by your example, by doing service. So it's all preaching. Everything is, you're showing the world by your activities, 24 hours a day, what it means to be Krishna conscious. So everything you do should be, everything a devotee does is preaching if he's properly situated. Let's see. Questions from the Bhagavatam class. I still have them here if we run out. I have them here in my pouch. Somebody reminded me, I said I would answer them. We have about 25 minutes, so maybe you can get to them. How do we practically tell people about Krishna on an everyday basis in the world we live in? I already dealt with how to tell people about Krishna. You have to be compassionate, and Krishna will give you the intelligence, what can help this person. If the spiritual world is so good, why did we desire to leave in the first place? Well, remember the example of the cow that wants to eat the grass on the other side of the fence? We're thinking, well, it's pretty good here, but maybe the other side of the fence is better. Let me try the other side. How do I mitigate the fact that when I try to grow in devotional service, it is not recognized? Well, whose recognition do you want? Krishna recognizes everything you do. You should be satisfied with Krishna's recognition. Not that they don't put my name on the bulletin board of the temple. I washed 20 pots last week, and they don't put a big announcement. So-and-so Das washed 20 pots in the kitchen. He did a very good job of washing the 20 pots. No, we shouldn't require those things. I have to be advertised, Unless I'm advertised as the latest Jagat Guru, I can't really be fired up about my service. I mean, come on. Krishna recognizes everything that you do. In fact, it is perceived in the opposite way as having no drive and no love for Krishna. Even if people think, you're not really Krishna conscious. Well, I have to thank you, because actually you're reminding me I'm not really Krishna conscious. If someone's finding fault with your service, you should feel blessed. Because here I was thinking I'm an advanced devotee, I'm practically a Paramahamsa now, and you reminded me I'm just a neophyte. Thank you. You blessed me. You see? How can we learn to chant attentively if even the scientists prove that we can't focus even for 5 minutes? So the scientists may not be able to focus more than 5 minutes. I can accept that. You know. But if one achieves the stage of Namaruchi, which is there available for all of us, you can remain focused on the holy name for 10 million years without diverting your attention even for a second. The Namaruchi stage. 10 million years you can be fully absorbed in Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the scientists, though, what is it said? A goat can eat anything and a madman can speak anything. So they can say, we can't focus even for 5 minutes. That's because people are watching too much television. We're watching Krishna vision, you see. We're turning into Krishna within our heart. And that television will give you, you can focus for 5 million years, you see, if you learn how to turn into that television. How can we even make progress in our Krishna consciousness? You just have to please Krishna, please your spiritual master, please the devotees. You'll be amazed how you can advance in Krishna consciousness if you try to please Krishna, Guru, and Vaishnavas. Since Krishna knows the future also, he knows how a person is going to respond to a situation using his free will. So from this perspective, what is he expecting when he already knows the result? Krishna wants us to surrender to him. That's a fact. That's what he's always expecting. He knows what we're going to do. That's a fact. He's patiently waiting for that moment when we will come out of our illusion and surrender to him. You mentioned in an earlier lecture, self-realization daily post on the internet, that Krishna as the Paramatma will direct at the appropriate time to approach the Guru. What qualification and preparation the disciple has to have to be ready to receive that message? You have to realize this material world is not going to satisfy you ever. No matter what position you may have here, you will not be satisfied here. The only way to become truly satisfied is to find a bona fide spiritual master who can train you in the science of bhakti. When you come to that determination, then Krishna will say, okay, here he is. Here's your spiritual master. So we'll answer some questions from this morning's class that didn't get answered. I was requested to do that. How do we extend our compassion to other living beings? Because the society and the lifestyle is as such which exploits and destroys everything. Well, when you awaken your own Krishna consciousness and you realize how much you were suffering without Krishna consciousness, then you will naturally share. How do we understand about karma? Our current actions that we perform, are they due to the past karmas? Not your devotional activities. But any material activity you're doing, it's within the chains of karma. It is binding you in this material world. So one has to get out of karma chakra by taking shelter of Krishna and Guru. So if we see through the eyes of Shastra, Srila Prabhupada's books, then if we notice the senior devotees are not following accordingly how we should act. At the end of the day, we all will be always around associating with them, but in your heart you know that you're seeing something not proper. Well, you first have to see, maybe I'm not proper. There was one, I know one case in the UK. My godbrother was seeing another godbrother. He didn't think his sadhana was very good. And this was one of the original devotees who had brought Krishna consciousness to the UK, Shama Kunda Prabhu. A devotee thought, his sadhana is not very good, let me go to complain to Prabhupada about it. Prabhupada was very, like, get out of here, you know. Prabhupada was very, very angry that he would want to complain about Shama Sundar. So you have to understand, you may not see everything that's going on, how much this person, how dedicated, how much hard work they've done. Maybe they're, in some ways, some of their habits may not be perfect. There may be some deficiencies, but sometimes we don't really understand how much dedicated service this person has rendered to Krishna. So one has to be very, very careful in these matters. One may be committing an offense against someone who's far more advanced than you, even though in some ways they don't look so advanced. So one has to be very careful about these things. This Prabhupada was very, very disturbed with this devotee for bringing a complaint. Shama Sundar was so dear to his heart. He had brought Krishna consciousness to the UK. He had brought George Harrison to the movement. He did so many services. Prabhupada was very, very indebted to Shama Sundar and very, very disturbed that a devotee would try to find fault with Shama Sundar. Can you tell us how to get a Krishna conscious child? Well, if you follow our regulated principles, strictly for householders, then Krishna will bless you with a nice Krishna conscious child. I have a whole essay about that. You go to ISKCONstandards.com and you'll see the link there for an article about Grihastha life. If you want to have a Krishna conscious child, you should study that article and follow it. It's a detailed thing, but the easiest thing is you go read that. ISKCONstandards.com. Can a husband and wife have different spiritual masters? Yes. That can be done if one wants to do them. Thank you very much for your thank you for your appreciation. Let's see here. While customizing and presenting our Krishna philosophy, should we change the basic terms and principles? No, but you can present it in different ways. It's like, you've seen that book, Easy Journey to Other Planets? How Prabhupada translates the Gita verses? Completely different. Instead of talking about the spirit soul, he calls it the anti-material particle. I mean, that's a big change, but you have to keep the philosophy pure. Just like when I give a lecture at the Urban Yoga, I may use different terminology, and I'm saying the same thing in a language that may hopefully be more appealing to someone who coming to the Urban Yoga Center. So, and that says examples like vegetarian meal instead of prasadam, performing kirtan in tuni ways, chanting on counters instead of beads. Well, there's all different kind of questions here. Actually, kirtan can be we should make kirtan very attractive to people. The name itself doesn't require that, but that it helps people to get connected with the name. We should make it very, very melodious, enlivening kirtan. That is helpful. People like music, so let them have their musical enjoyment when they come to hear our kirtan. You see? Nothing wrong with them. vegetarian meal instead of prasadam. Just like they're advertising here, at Crossways, all you can eat, vegetarian meal. But on the back, the Hare Krishna mantra is there. So, and they're making devotees with this approach. I have one devotee right here. He came because of them. You see, Krishna Das over here. So we can use these sort of presentations to find different ways to connect people with Krishna. That's very good. You have to judge by the result. As far as chanting on counters instead of on beads, that's not Prabhupada's system. Prabhupada never gave out counter clickers at Diksha. He gave out japamala. If he wanted to chant on clickers, he said, "Here's your clicker." No, he gave out japamala. Why? Well, it's just a symbol. It's just some kind of a ritual. You get your japamala and you put it in your closet. Now you chant on your clicker. No, Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita, chant round the beads, right there in the purport. He didn't say round the clicker. But I put a tulsi mala on my clicker, a tulsi bead on my clicker. I glued it on there, so I'm clicking on a tulsi bead. Is that all right then? Come on. Prabhupada says around the beads. When Prabhupada was here, nobody in ISKCON had clickers. Somebody introduced that after. Some gift store found it was a good way to make money in all the gift shops. I think many gift shops carrying it as a way to make more money for the gift shop. But it's not Prabhupada's system. I personally wish they wouldn't sell the clickers, but I have no say so. I'm just a traveling preacher. I don't think they should sell the clickers in the gift stores because it gives devotees the wrong idea that it's part of our bona fide process. Oh, I got the clicker at the temple. It must be bona fide. No, Prabhupada never said clicker. Tamal Krishna Maharaj one time said, when you chant on your clicker, it doesn't count. Can you please throw some light on Lord Ram's appearance? Throw some light. That's interesting. I'm actually not expert on Lord Ram's, the details of Lord Ram's appearance, but I would just say Ram's appearance is Ram's disappearance. Okay, nor am I expert on that either. I'm not an expert on the Ramayana. But all of these leelas of Krishna, of Ram, they are great blessings to help us become purified in our hearts and attracted to serving these wonderful personalities. Actually, Lord Ram is Krishna himself, taking on a different mood for devotees who want to serve him in that particular mood. Can you kindly please describe some pastimes of Lord Jagannath or Ratha Yatra? Lord Jagannath or Ratha Yatra. Well, there's the famous pastime in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that the cart stopped and they couldn't move it, but Lord Chaitanya was able to move it. But my favorite one is the original Ratha Yatra. There was a solar eclipse and the devotees went to Kurukshetra. The Dwarkavasis and the Brijavasis, they all came together at Kurukshetra. And the gopis, they're seeing Krishna, but they weren't satisfied. This is not our Krishna's, this is some Dwarka prince. This is not our forest boyfriend. It's a Dwarka prince. They were feeling some dissatisfaction. They were disappointed, frankly. Even though they were seeing him, their hearts weren't satisfied. So within their hearts, they were pulling Krishna back to Vrindavan, pulling him back to Vrindavan, you see. So this is the esoteric understanding of Ratha Yatra. And this is what the advanced devotees meditate on when they're pulling the cart. They're thinking, oh, Krishna Radharani she's in a state worse than death. Nanda Maharaj, Mother Jasoda, the gopis, all the Vrijabasis are completely devastated. Now we must bring Krishna back to Vrindavan to bring the Vrijabasis back to life. And they're pulling the rope. We have to bring Krishna back to Vrindavan. Pulling, bringing Krishna back to Vrindavan. That's the esoteric understanding of Rath-yatra. The advanced devotees meditate on them and they're pulling the rope. We are new to Krishna consciousness. Our son is already addicted to TV, video games, and sleeping late. What is his age? It depends on if he's a teenager, it's going to be tough. If he's 5 years old, depends on the age. Depends on the age. How do we train him? It depends on the age. But it's a tough thing. TV addiction is a very heavy addiction. It's very heavy. Once he's addicted to watching television, it's hard, very hard to pull him out of that. The best thing to do is get rid of the TV. Say, the TV broke, sorry, our TV broke down. We can't afford a new one. Just get rid of it. Get rid of the television. That's the best thing you can do. Get it out of the house. No TV in the house. We're sorry, son, but the TV broke and we really can't afford a new one right now, so we'll have to go without it for a while. Get used to not having one. We'll have kirtan instead of watching TV. I would just try to, the main thing is get the TV out of the house and start doing something else, like have a kirtan every evening for the whole family. Something like that. Okay, now we're down to the last one. When we visit our relatives, non-devotees, our son becomes exposed to mundane literature, games, and gadgets. He becomes attracted to these and demands these. What should we do? Why are you visiting your relatives? I would tactfully avoid it as much as you can. A devotee is not obliged to visit his relative. If they want to visit, you invite them to visit you. Let them come to a Krishna conscious atmosphere so that those kids can see all the Krishna conscious things. Your son, maybe he has a madanga, and the other boy, I like a madanga. You see, the kids want to see what the other kids have, so let those kids come to your house and see what your kid has, so they want to get a madanga drum too. You see? Take the same principle and just flip it over. Why do I have to go to their house? They should, if they want to associate, they're welcome to come anytime. You see? Why do I don't have an obligation to go to visit my relatives. If they feel there's an obligation for us to associate, then let them come and associate with me. And who are your relatives anyway? Are you the body? Or are you the soul? So, actually, relatives are relative. They're not absolute. Your actual relatives are all living entities. That tree out there is your relative. That little bug crawling along the floor is your relative, you see. These are all your relatives. So you should be compassionate upon your relatives and give them Krishna consciousness. So we've run out of the questions. And I thank you all very much. I hope this has been helpful to you. We've gone through the 10 secrets from Srila Prabhupada, and I'll go over them again briefly. Just a brief review. Absorb your mind. The first secret is absorb your mind in Krishna. The second secret is to satisfy the self-realized spiritual master. The third secret is to know that there is no existence besides Krishna. The fourth secret is to explain this secret to the devotees, and that really means everyone. The 5th secret is to shun material sense enjoyment due to higher taste. The 6th secret is to engage material things in the service of the Lord. The 7th secret is to take refuge under the Lord's protection. The 8th secret is to receive the sound from the right source. That means the sound, the transcendental sound vibrations of Vedic wisdom and the holy names. 9, service to be serious to execute the mission of the spiritual master. And the 10th secret is to follow the order of the bona fide spiritual master. So if you take advantage of these secrets of devotional service, which we described here, then your spiritual life will take off like a rocket, and you'll go back to Godhead for sure in this lifetime. So we thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Sriman Sankarshan Das Adhikari ki jai.